Well, this one's gonna be an interesting one today, mostly because, hi, hello there. I have not officially retired the Dragon Boy yet, but we're doing something new here. People who may have popped into my streams may have seen it, but I have a live 2D now. It's not custom made. I got this guy off a booth, and it's fine. It's whatever. Something to play around with and something to use when I feel like it. But hey, it's it's life. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do when you're broke as hell like I am. But anyway. Before we get started on today's reaction, which is going to be to episode 1 of RWBY, volume 1, or chapter 1, because Rooster Teeth used a interesting naming sense for a web series. I want to give some updates on what's coming with Epic. I'm still waiting on Neil Illustrator to publish their God Games animatic. They've posted updates. It's a work in progress. You don't rush art, okay? Also, because Jorge was a really funny guy, the Vengeance Saga is coming at the end of this month. So, oh boy, we're not off the train yet. Oh, I did see the preview, so I did see that bit. So, gonna be an interesting time all around to see what the hell that arc is gonna be. But anyway, to buffer that, we got this and then other stuff. I can't exactly say what the response to the RWBY video was, but you know what? I feel like watching more of it. At the very least, I want to go through the first volume. I might not go through the full series, because honestly, I don't know if it's worth it. Especially with how hard it is to actually watch the show, because it's kind of scattered all over the place. It's also a really, very strange reaction to say, too, because normally when I do these reactions, I like to say, you know, before we start, oh, go watch the original, support the original creators. When that doesn't really work now that I think about it too, because, you know, Rooster Teeth is dead, and the only reason we have the RWBY episodes are because they're still on YouTube for posterity and other websites where they had the streaming license. This is a very strange place to be in. But, with that said, let's see how long I can talk about the first episode of this show, which was 12 minutes. Most of them were not. Most of them were not. And knowing me, and the fact I have the ability to yap about songs for 15 minutes at a time, yeah, we're gonna be here for a bit, aren't we? Anyway, let's get started. I was about to start it, and God, oh boy, editing is gonna have fun with that. I was about to start it, and I realized, oh, wait, no, my headset was off. Because I wasn't hearing anything for a hot minute. It's a good thing I established there's a cut. Let's actually get started now that I'm not fumbling with weird text stuff because I'm a spaz.
Legends. Stories scattered through time. Mankind has grown quite fond of recounting the exploits of heroes and villains.
So, just immediately off the bat, I love that... I gotta place myself back when I first saw this. Okay, so, I am a big Halo fan. Like, generally classic Halo. Like, I still occasionally play the Master Chief Collection. I fell off Halo Infinite hard, most just because I could not keep up with that game, and it just fell off my radar, and I wanted to play other stuff. But I have been a big fan of Halo for a long time, which also means, especially when I was still in school, I was a massive fan of Halo Machinima. And what else do most people know Rooster Teeth for, if not Red vs. Blue? One of the primo machinimas that turned into so much more than what it started as. So, to clarify this for people who don't know, this is Jen Taylor, the voice of Cortana. The fact they got her to do this opening narration at all was, at the time, wild for fans of RWBY and Halo in general. Which is a big part of it. It was just fun. Also, massive lore dump right at the start here. Personally, I mean, if you're gonna set up your setting, might as well start with some basic concepts. Trust me, I did the exact same thing in my novel.
Forgetting so easily that we
Okay, let's actually dial that back a little bit just for the lines.
recounting the exploits of heroes and villains. Forgetting so easily that we are remnants, byproducts of a forgotten past. Man, born from dust, was strong, wise, and resourceful. But he was born into an unforgiving world. An inevitable darkness, creatures of destruction, the creatures of Grimm, set their sights on man and all of his creations. These forces clashed, and it seemed the darkness was intent on returning man's brief existence to the void. However, even the smallest spark of hope is enough to ignite change. And in time, man's passion, resourcefulness, and ingenuity led them to the tools that would help even the odds. This power was appropriately named Dust.
Just all, all of the exposition off the bat. I mean, the trailers, again, it's a good thing to do. It's not a bad thing to have this initial setup, because, I mean, when it comes, especially when you're like, it's always odd to think about it when it comes to RWBY as a wider scope thing, but the fact that this was released when Rooster Teeth was still a very amateur production, because, like, for example, Red vs. Blue was always kind of balanced by the fact that it was, even right up to the end, basically half machinima, where additional animation was added in, rather than the entirety of the show. Like, when they would do, like, big fight scenes where there was just no way you could do it in, like, Halo itself in those engines, it would have to turn to, like, you know, actually animating it in something like Poser or what they use now, Maya. I don't know what they used back then when they were animating in, like, Halo 3 and shit. Because that's what they did at a point. They got to Halo 3. Yeah, I don't know what they were using to animate a lot of those scenes that they had Monty do. Like, the Blues versus Tex fight, like, that was all Monty. But this was, like, the first show Rooster Teeth did at the time that was fully animated with no buffer in the form of machinima. So, it's very much a product of its time, and it shows very, very strongly. We'll talk about it in a bit. You'll see.
Nature's wrath in hand, man lit their way through the darkness. And in the shadow's absence came strength, civilization, and most importantly, life. But even the most brilliant lights eventually flicker and die.
Okay, before we leave the map, I think, one of my favorite bits of RWBY trivia is the map here, the overall Remnant map with, like, the two dragon-shaped continents, all that stuff. Monty got the idea for the map from a ketchup stain on a napkin. As here's the best part. This is not an unusual way to design a map in a fantasy world. Like, I haven't done it yet for my own setting. I really need to. But it's not uncommon that if you're going to try and scheme out, like, continents in a fantasy world to do something different than just Earth, that maybe you'll, like, take a sheet of paper, scatter, like, rice on it or something, and then sketch around, like, the bundles that form after you scatter everything to sketch out continents, islands, stuff like that. Or, you know, in this case, after a convenient wiping of the face, you end up with a bunch of stains on a napkin that are like, huh, we could probably turn that into fantasy continents now that we think about it. So, here we go. The origins of Remnant. A literal ketchup stain. It's such stupid trivia, but I love it.
And when they are gone, darkness will return.
Ah, my boy Torchwick. Pulling up here on some Clockwork Orange mood. Though that's not his inspiration. It's a Candlewick from Pinocchio.
So you may prepare your guardians.
Okay, before we talk about the narration taking a turn, another sign of RWBY's low budget when it started off. Any character who wasn't going to be at least kind of important to a scene was rendered as just a silhouette because they didn't really have the room or the time to, you know, have every background character not be a shadow. I think I remember, like, Volume 3, they actually had, like, a whole thing as part of that reveal. It was Volume 2 or Volume 3. They were like, hey, guess what? The background characters aren't just going to be shadows anymore. Pretty sure that was Volume 3. Pretty sure that was for Volume 3, but yeah, no, it's the constraints of the budget when you're doing an amateur project. You got to be really specific about which characters get full models that are actually going to be doing something, especially when it comes to voices. Though sometimes in this volume especially, there were just random characters who had full models, even though they didn't really say or do too much. It was what it was, man. It was what it was, but still.
Build your monuments to a so-called free world. But take heed. There will be no victory in strength.
And before the narration continues, I love that shift in it where we go from like a basic, oh, opening narration to a fantasy. It's all nice and interesting and set it up, and then it turns somber and sinister. And it's kind of the first hint that whatever the character Jen Taylor was voicing is absolutely probably not gonna be a good person in the grand scope of the show itself, which is, well, it's definitely one way to go for it. That is for damn sure. Oh, the things we did not know at the time. The things we did not know and could only build up to that they were probably still finalizing as they worked on stuff behind Volume 1 while they were still airing it. Yeah, there's a lot I could talk about there. Like, if I genuinely wanted to, I could make half of these reactions just me ranting about the show itself, but I don't want to do that. That would be in bad taste, I feel. Let's just continue. We're already 12 minutes in, by the way. We're not even through the first 2 minutes of the episode.
But perhaps victory is in the simpler things that you've long forgotten. Things that require a smaller, more honest soul.
Oh, right. Someone. Okay, right. Just because I just remembered it looking at the henchmen. Someone did actually confirm to me that, yes, Junior's henchmen are meant to be a reference to the hatchet gang from Kung Fu Hustle. So glad I was right about that.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to find a dust shop open this late?
Please, just take my lien and leave.
Shh. Calm down. We're not here for your money. Grab the dust.
That was I was about to slur my words. That was absolutely an altered version of the Halo shield charging sound effect. You cannot tell me that's not the sound effect they used for that. That was absolutely the sound file they used, because they definitely had it on hand from Red versus Blue stuff. You know, now the more I think about it, we almost never really get a full explanation about how dust actually works. Like, I'm pretty sure you have it in powdered form, and then obviously you have the crystals, but they never really fully explain it. I mean, I know there's side material that explains it, but I also shouldn't be doing homework to understand how important facets of your setting works. But hey, you know, sounds, noises, I don't have any words to say.
Crystals. Burn uncut.
We're not going to be concerned about any of the music, honestly, at this point. It doesn't matter. Wait, hold on. I want to point something out. Okay, hold up, we're going to go back a bit. We're going to frame by frame it just to make it easier. I really tell how they had to animate it. Okay, so there's a few references in the magazine, particularly right here where my mouse is rotating. Hello, Full Metal Alchemist reference. I see you there, Truth.
Alright, kid. Put your hands where I can see them. Hey, I said hands in the air. You got a death wish or something?
You know, you would almost honestly assume that when you see someone with a hood on and you hear music, they might be wearing headphones. We never see RWBY with those headphones again, actually, I do believe.
Yes?
I said, put your hands in the air, now.
Are you robbing me?
Yes.
Oh.
God, that's one of my favorite little bits of dialogue to do. It's the, oh. Just that, it's so cheeky. It's so cheeky, and I love it. I'm kind of sad that when Ice Queendom, like, because, okay, so RWBY Ice Queendom, for those who may not know, was an anime adaptation that effectively partially retold the first two volumes. It was messy. Shaft probably could have done with more than 12 episodes. That's a lot of anime when I think about it. They needed more than 12 episodes. But when they redid this scene, they kept most of the dialogue, obviously translated to Japanese to make it fit. But there wasn't that, oh, from RWBY. And it was really sad I missed it. Well, it was really sad to not have that in, like, the other translated version. But, yeah, you know, differences in scripting, whatever. So, but that's such a fun tale. Also, this really shows, like, this is the first time we actually realize how small RWBY is. She is a tiny girl. Very, very small. Very huggable. But also, you know, big-ass scythe. I appreciate immensely the use of diegetic music with that, with having like it actually be playing in the background, and then she just click turns it off. Also, God, I did not realize how much I missed the elaborate sequences of Crescent Rose unfolding. Like, I severely miss having that be whatever she would unfold it, and then in the show they got really lazy and just had it where she would spin it and then it would be in full. God, they started cutting so many corners as the show went on, and it was kind of painful, not gonna lie. Like, oh god. Channels better than me have talked about how the show got kind of lazy as they went on. Like, just in terms of some of the effects and lighting, especially earlier on. They weren't being as creative as they could with Maya. Which is a shame, because I remember how Volume 4 started, and they had some really interesting lighting techniques going on, and then they just stopped using them. But this isn't about Volume 4, this is about Volume 1, and what the show started as, and what it felt like to watch it at the time, because, you know, me and my history with the show go way back. Painfully so. Anyway.
Okay. Get her. You were worth every cent. Truly you were.
We need more villains in media who hire mooks to help them do a job and then just are just absolutely unimpressed when the mooks get wiped by the local hero. Just like, ah, yes, you were worth the money I spent to hire you. Absolutely. God damn it, I have to do everything myself.
Well, Red, I think we can all say it's been an eventful evening. And as much as I'd love to stick around, I'm afraid this is where we part ways.
You know, I like it when, okay, one of the best parts of the show is how even when a weapon is simplistic, like, again, we have, like, the complicated stuff like Ruby's Crescent Rose, an unfolding scythe that also turns into a sniper rifle, Yane's shotgun gauntlets that use kinetic force to help shoot her around the battlefield, Blake's Gamble Shroud that's 2 swords in one and has a big old extended ribbon that can fling it around. But then you get the simple stuff, like Weiss's Miternaster, which just coats the blade in dust and does stuff to help her use her. Definitely not magic. They were still figuring that out at the time. Or then you get something as simple as Roman's freaking cane that also shoots literally explosive Roman candle fireworks. Oh, tripping over my own tongue. It is so fun in how it's simple. For one, I've always liked canes as a weapon. There's a reason why I'm kind of fond of the threaded cane in Bloodborne. But just mixing it with that idea of also a Roman candle. Because, you know, the name, Roman Torchwick, he's based both on Candlewick, and then his weapon has a concept of, well, a Roman candle. Look, if you live in the States, or, like, whatever name they have it for in other countries, I don't quite know. I think it's, like, some people call it, like, a Roman torch or something. You know the one. The big old tube that you shoot it, and then you do that, and it makes that sound. That pew! Why am I making SFX with my own mouth? What the hell? Anyway, just, it's a fun concept, and it's very cool to have a simple weapon that is still a lot of fun, both in how it's designed and what it does. And God, I wish Neo had it. I wish Neo had found it. It would have actually been fun for her to have it in later episodes, actually, now that I think about it. I'm thinking too much.
You okay if I go after him?
You know, thinking about him going up the ladder, there was an interesting change in Ice Kingdom that actually I think made it a bit better, in that instead of clambering up a ladder, he had a grappling hook, which, yeah, it made a lot more sense to how he got up the roof so quickly after, you know, darting away. Whatever, it's still fun. And it's not like Ruby doesn't catch up in 5 seconds, as we just saw.
Persistent.
You know, I have to admire. Okay, look, I'll be straight when I say this. Volume 1 and 2 did not have the best animation at times. It's very obvious where they were putting a lot more effort in. In the places where they did put in a lot more effort, like this, just putting in the effort to actually have the cloth in the hair flickering around in time with like the engines of the airship as it came up is really good attention to detail. And I mean, this episode was basically Rooster Teeth putting their best foot forward with RWBY. If the color trailers were proof of concept, this was the, hey, this is what this is what is here, this is what we're doing, this is what you're getting, and we're only hoping to improve as we go on. And in some respects, they did. In other respects, debatable. But if I go deeper in, maybe we'll talk about it there. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just make a video talking about my general gripes. I don't know. We're 22 minutes in and we're not even halfway through the episode. What did I say? What did I say? My yap ability remains strong.
End of the line, Red.
You know what I think about it? And I'm going to recant what I said with the whole dust explanation. It's not that they don't explain it. They don't need to explain it. They kind of just show it like they should. Actually, I recant that. So I recant the statement. They show us plenty of that. Dust is the thing that, like, it kicks on when you activate it. And you, like, you know, you hit it or you do something to activate it in some way. And then you get that. Like, say, making a crystal explode like a grenade by shooting it. Very simple, very simple. I actually think that's how if I remember correctly, that is actually how Weiss's rapier works. That the barrel, lets out bits of powdered dust, and then when she swings the blade, it excites it and causes it to generate effects. If I remember correctly about the mechanics that I remember reading about. Anyway. Hello, Glinda. Oh, hey, Cinder. You know, with later parts of the show in mind, this entire initial fight scene with Glinda really does kind of make you ask a lot of questions, and it's absolutely definite proof to me that there was a lot of stuff they were still concepting out as they went, which, trust me, I understand doing that because writer myself, and I can absolutely say, like, in my own novel, there's still certain concepts for it that I figure out as I actually write and get settled into the mood of the story itself and, like, actually start using and concepting out properly rather than just being an idea on a page. Like, okay, brief tangent. Rooster Teeth got pretty infamous as RWBY went on for pulling the, oh, we've had it planned from the beginning card to try and say that they had always had a plan when it came to certain elements in the show, which, I'm going to be fair, I didn't believe for a moment, mostly because I myself was a writer, am a writer, and I know for a fact you never actually have everything planned from the start. No matter how much people try to say they do, you don't. Now, maybe sometimes you get something like the Ever After, where you have the idea for it early on, but you don't really know where you could place it in the early parts of the story. So you kind of shove it for later and then figure out a place to use it later down the line. That happens. I've had those ideas. I literally have an idea for at least one story arc of my own book series that I can absolutely tell you was not going to be a thing that could happen early in the narrative. So it's the basic idea of it is sitting in my head on the burner and cooking. I don't know when it's going to happen in the actual series, depending on how far in I actually manage to get, if it actually picks up. But it's there. So when I see these early bits of RWBY, I'm lenient because I think of it like, well, they were concepting things out. They were figuring out what to actually do. They were getting into the groove of the actual nature of the show and refining certain concepts that maybe they had planned early, but weren't quite concrete on at the time. So things like Glinda using what clearly seems to be magic before it gets established that magic and semblances are two different things. And, well, I'll just let the rest of the fight play and I'll talk about Cinder afterwards, because, oh boy. Okay. This is kind of in the same vein of what I said, because I do not believe, if I recall correctly, that Cinder's entire deal was fully figured out when, like, in this first appearance that they had her in, with, like, this brief little bout. First off, the effects were really good, and I really like that, and I really like that sound effect they had for Cinder's, like, fire spells, that whine as it built up. Again, this was before semblances as a concept were fully fleshed out, and before even the concept of the maidens, which, as much as I think it has been denied that it was it's been very open. I believe that the maidens were not a concept in the story until like volume 3. So, at this point, Cinders was basically just a mage. Like, if I remember correctly, she was basically just a mage at this time because the full concept of either her semblance or the maiden powers hadn't been fully realized yet. So, she just used fire magic, basically. And same with Glinda. She was just kind of a witch. And that's how it was. Because, again, it is what it is. Sometimes you don't refine it until later, and you gotta figure it out and get your feet on the ground with a story first. Still, it's always interesting to come back here and kind of see where they were at early on, and then where they got a bit later once they finally refined certain concepts down and got them settled in their heads. Which were better or worse depending on your views of the story. There's a lot of opinions to be had. Personally, I'm somewhere in the middle, which could be its own long explanation about my feelings towards the series and the people who wrote it. Let's get this finished. We're finally halfway through, and this video was already almost 30 minutes long. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Ah, come on! I did that to change my expression, god damn it. Let me click off so it doesn't do that again. Okay.
You're a huntress. Can I have your autograph?
Okay, you know what? It's fine. It was relatively where it needed to be, so it's fine. It's fine. We didn't miss much more than like a little animation thing. Wait, did we? But, okay. Yeah, no, I literally only skipped ahead like a frame. But still, I love that cut. Let's do it again.
Huntress. Can I have your autograph?
I'm such a massive fan of smash cuts where it lingers on the character's face from one mood to another as you just immediately jump to the next scene. It's one of my favorite gags. I love it.
I hope you realize that your actions tonight will not be taken lightly, young lady. You put yourself and others in great danger.
They started it!
If it were up to me, you'd be sent home with a pat on the back and a slap on the wrist.
It's a fair thought. It's like, hey, you know, you did a good job. Also, don't do it again, kid. You're too young. Let the professionals handle it. Come on.
But there is someone here who would like to meet you.
Ruby Rose. You have silver eyes. So, where did you learn to do this?
Okay, playing the feedback. I love that it kind of legit does that anime thing where whenever they need to show people watching footage on like a video or something, it's legit just cuts from what actually happened in the show because it's easier to use that than try to emulate like an actual camera that was watching from a different angle or something. It's oddly lazy, but it is efficient. Just use the footage you have and lay it on, you know?
Signal Academy?
They taught you to use one of the most dangerous weapons ever designed?
Well, one teacher in particular.
I see. It's just that
And here's where we got the whole meme of Ruby and cookies, which is funny because I do think I remember Official Thing saying her actual favorite food is like strawberry cake or something. But cookies just became more meme-worthy.
I've only seen one other scythe wielder of that skill before. A dusty old crow.
That's my uncle. sorry. That's my Uncle Crow. He's a teacher at Signal. I was complete garbage before he took me under his wing, and now I'm all like...
So I've noticed.
Oh god, the feelings from this volume are still there. She's so adorable. It's dumb. Oh, my dumb child. Yeah, the early foreshadowing, again, laying groundwork for stuff that I knew they were still, like, I do that too. I definitely do that too. I definitely, like, lay groundwork for ideas as, like, okay, here's a basic thing. I'm not going to expand on it till later, but let's at least set the groundwork. And in this case, Ruby and her Uncle Crow, who taught her to use the scythe, which I don't remember if it ever really gets brought up again, that that apparently her scythe is, like, considered a super dangerous weapon to use, which... when you think about it, does make sense when you consider what a scythe is normally used for as a farming tool. But if you're gonna use it as, I don't know, a monster hunting implement, that's probably gonna come with a fair share of how to use it, which reminds me a lot of, like, in Soul Eater. I'm very confident, if I remember correctly, that Monty based a lot of Ruby's actions on how Maka uses her scythe in Soul Eater. With, like, all the spinning and the twirling around with it to kind of like you're doing a flagpole. Because I remember specifically in Soul Eater, it was said that Maka's fighting style was based on, like, flag performances. So, like, the way she would twirl the scythe and spin it around herself was based very much on that. Translated it into a combat art with slashing and spinning and stuff like that. So, if you're going to base the scythe wielder off anything, you might as well go with Soul Eater. It is, like, one of the go-to bases for scythe fighter in anime. And anime-esque stuff. Anyway.
And what is an adorable...
Okay, let me...
So I've noticed. And what is an adorable girl such as yourself doing at a school designed to train warriors?
Well, I want to be a huntress.
You want to slay monsters?
Yeah. I only have 2 more years of training left at Signal, and then I'm going to apply to Beacon. See, my sister's starting there this year, and she's trying to become a huntress, and I'm trying to become a huntress because I want to help people. And my parents always taught us to help others, so I thought, oh, I might as well make a career out of it. I mean, the police are alright, but husband and huntresses are just so much more romantic and exciting and cool, you know?
You know, listening to this, it makes me realize that, like, I don't know what they were giving Lindsay in terms of voice direction for later parts of RWBY, but, like, her voice gets so high in later volumes, and I'm just like, what was the point of the voice direction? Which is weird when you consider that as the show goes on, RWBY does get a bit older, so you'd think her voice would stay a bit lower and not go higher. Yet for some reason it does, and it gets to a point it's actually a little bit annoying. This is tolerable. This is fine. This is like an expected, excited, your voice cracks a little bit. I mean, look at me. I am a primo victim of voice randomly cracking for no reason. Still, voice direction and sometimes how it changes. I don't know.
Do you know who I am?
You're Professor Ozpin. You're the headmaster at Beacon.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
You want to come to my school?
More than anything.
Well, okay.
Oh, I can't believe my babysitter.
And again, I love the smart use of the cut here. Ruby's face going from all excited and happy. Oh my going a few friends back. Oh my god, that's such a perfect, oh no, I realized I might have made a mistake face. It's like, I said yes and maybe I shouldn't have.
Believe my baby sister's going to Beacon with me. This is the best day ever. Please stop. But I'm so proud of you. Really, sis, it was nothing. What do you mean? It was incredible. Everyone at Beacon is going to think you're the bee's knees.
Hello, more shadowy background characters because there was no budget.
I don't want to be the bee's knees, okay? I don't want to be any kind of knees. I just want to be a normal girl with normal knees. What's with you? Aren't you excited? Of course I'm excited. I got moved ahead 2 years.
Which is a really big deal when you think about it. Because, like, even just jumping ahead by 1 grade is a pretty significant thing for someone to do. Being bumped ahead by 2 is, that's pretty wild when you think about it. And maybe something they could have toned down a bit. Like, maybe if they just made RWBY 16 instead of 15, it wouldn't be as odd. Like, yeah, they could have still kept the grade skipper aspect, but, you know, Maybe make it 1 year instead of 2 and it wouldn't be so bad. I don't know. Thoughts in my head. I mean, I'm actively writing a RWBY fanfic anyway, so I might as well just do that myself, but... Anyway, we only got a few minutes left. And then we gotta talk about the opening. I'm probably gonna have to add in some editing trick. I don't know.
I don't want people to think I'm special or anything. But you are special.
The robbery was led by nefarious criminal Roman Torchwick, who continues to evade authorities. If you have any information on his whereabouts, please contact the Vale Police Department. Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Cyril. In other news, this Saturday's Fauna civil rights protest turned dark when members of the White Fang disrupted the ceremony. The once peaceful organization has now disrupted...
We're not talking about the White Fang and what happened with that on this channel. I'm not touching that mess of a plot point with a 10-foot pole covered in grease. Nope. We ain't talking about it. I'm not qualified to. So we ain't gonna. Anyway.
Hello and welcome to Beacon.
Who's that?
Oh, by the way, no, wait, no. I should have pulled a roll credits joke when Osmond said her name. Fuck.
My name is Glinda Goodwitch.
Oh.
You are among a privileged few who have received the honor of being selected to attend this prestigious academy. Our world is experiencing an incredible time of peace, and as future huntsmen and huntresses, it is your duty to uphold it. You have demonstrated the courage needed for such a task, and now it is our turn to provide you with the knowledge and the training to protect our world.
Look! You can see signal from up here.
You know, I think, yeah, no, this is absolutely before the fact they established that signal was actually on an island and not in the city itself. Definitely. They definitely did not settle that before. Okay, just gotta say as it zooms out, I do actually like the airship designs in this show. Like, it's very... I've always been a big... Again, I'm a massive fan of, like, all kinds of, like, fantasy technology. So I always love it when, like, you get different airship designs. You get ones that are like, oh, they're basically just flying sea ships. Okay, cool. You get, like, in Final Fantasy XIV, for example, where airships tend to be basically flying boats with sails. Or then you get this, where it's like a big old body, but then it has big fin-like wings, like an airplane does. But it more so drifts along rather than, you know, at 200 miles per hour. You get the idea. Me and my sound effects, Jesus. Also, for as low detail as it is, I gotta respect the effort to trying to actually make a whole skyline to have with the scene. Like, I don't know what the scale would have to be in animation itself, but like that's a lot of work. That's a lot of modeling work to do, especially when you have some of it in shadow and some of it actually with some detail on it.
I guess home isn't too far after all.
Beacon's our home now.
Oh, hey, Sean.
Well, I guess the view isn't for everyone.
Don't blame the poor guy for getting vertigo.
Was a nice moment while it lasted.
I wonder who we're gonna meet.
I just hope they're better than Vomit Boy. Oh, yay, gross! You have puke on your shoe!
You know, in terms of size, this actually looks like it's supposed to be some kind of liner-class airship, now that you think about it, huh? If something like that existed in real life, how expensive do you think it'd be to fly on one of those? Would it be a luxury liner? Would it be a cruiser? Would it be used for rich people's vacations? I don't know why I'm thinking of that.
Get away from me! Get away from me! Get away from me! Get away from me!
And opening time. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm so tempted to. I'm so tempted to. I actually do have that as, like, an emote. Hold on. I do actually have this, but I'm not going to use it. Okay, I'm stopping for a moment because it's so funny on the scene where they have Cinder. Oh god, knowing that Emerald and Mercury didn't have finalized designs yet makes it a bit funnier in hindsight. Okay. Like the... Okay, let's dial back a couple frames. Like, yeah, oh hi, Proto, Emerald, and Mercury, who had yet to be finalized in designs. The day we open up the door. And that was how we got introduced to this series. Oh boy. Let me do another little quick cut since I'm gonna yap for a minute or two. So just okay, so like oh, let's have like a post breakdown even though we're almost 45 minutes into this recording. Why am I like this? Oh man. It's fun that they did that style of it like they do like an actual anime where when they finish recording the thing, well, when they finish the first episode to avoid spoilers, even though there weren't exactly any real spoilers in that opening sequence, to be totally honest with you, it is nice that they put it at the end and then you get the sequence before they start playing it at the beginning of every episode. I'll probably just skip it if I go through the rest of them, because to be real, the shorter sequence takes up time in episodes it probably shouldn't have, because some of the episodes in the future are very, very short, to put it... God, why do I have hiccups? But, hey. I did get a comment in the last video. I mean, if people want to see me go through more of the first season and talk about it, then I'll feel free. But, more interesting thing, if people want me to react to certain fan animations, I would absolutely be open to talking about those. Because there's some really interesting and cool ones out there, like, the Team Silver trailers, the Odyssey Club tournament, which only has one episode so far, by Mark Jane. Those are all really good. Then there's other ones like Team Dark or like the 30 Days animations, which aren't actually that bad from what I've seen of them. But there's just a lot of stuff. The fan base around this show is still, even after the dissolution of Rooster Teeth and the series going quiet, since we still don't know what's going to happen after Viz Media acquired the IP, just there's still so much passion and creativity in it, and it's like what it was is still very important to me and a lot of other people. That much is very obvious. But hey, we'll see. We'll see if I decide if I'm gonna long haul this or if we're just gonna stop after like the first couple of volumes and then just leave it there. We'll figure it out anyway. Till the next, which will probably, hopefully, be more epic than musical. We'll see.